Hi friends, Tracy.bish here, your Stampin' Up demonstrator from Central Victoria, Australia. I'm so excited to be here with our third project, our 3D project for Easter class. Once we undo our little bow and take the lid off our box, it opens up to an explosion box holding a Humpty Dumpty egg. Now, I'm not sure if you guys get this over in America, but here in Australia, it's not just an everyday Easter egg, it has little Smarties inside, so it's a little bit of an extra treat. And it's such a sweet little gift, this one. So let me just go over some of the products that we're using on this project. I've brought in the Flowering Fields DSP. I've tried to keep that DSP the same in all my projects if I'm using DSP, so you only have to buy one DSP, but don't forget that Daffodil Afternoon Celebration paper. If you still have some in your stash, this would work as well. Okay, so I've got the Daffodil Daydream bundle that we're using, the Flowering Fields DSP, which is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colours in this pack. We have some beautiful gold shimmer ribbon, and we're doing some embossing, so I'm super excited for that as well. Our box is made with Pear Pizzazz and basic white thick card, and we've got a little bit of that petal pink card there as well. Alright, so starting off with our base of our box, this is starting off at 6 11/16 by 6 11/16, and we're going to score at 2.5 on all four sides. And with our basic white thick card, that is our lid, 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 scored at 1.5 on all four sides. And then that Pear Pizzazz one that I've just scored there, that is going to be the base where our Easter egg is going to sit in. That measures 4.5 by 1 5/8, and we're scoring at 1 5/8, 2, 3 5/8 and 4. And don't forget, all the dimensions and directions are on that tutorial, so just have a look at that. So starting with the base, we're going to cut up onto those score lines, and what we want is those long rectangles. We want to keep those and get rid of the 4 squares on each side. Looking at our insert, what we want to do is, I've brought in, I think it's a 1-inch punch, but you could also use the smallest layering circle die to pop a hole in that top layer of that Pear Pizzazz. I'm using tear and tape to secure those two ends together, and that just sits in the box. We're going to secure it down, but it sits in the box so the Easter egg will sit on the top of it, and it just gives it that little bit of lift and holds it into place. Okay, so now we're looking at our basic white lid. I've cut up all score lines. We're going to cut off the ends, probably about 2/3 off, and then we're going to miter cut the one that's right in the center, and that will just help for the box to go together. So we're going to bring in some tear and tape to add to those tabs, so putting tear and tape on all 4 tabs. I have a little bit of trouble sometimes just tearing this tear and tape, so sometimes it's just as easy to bring my scissors in, but you might have more luck. So taking off the backing, and you're just going to line up those edges of the box to create the lid. So super simple. Now I have already pre-cut my DSP pieces, and they'll have them ready to go. But I just wanted to show you, we're going to add some heat embossing to our area. So I've popped the lid on, I've made a mark of where that lid sits, and then I know that as I stamp with Versamark my edging, which gives it a really beautiful effect, I know that you're going to be able to see it when the lid goes on. So because I know where it is, I can stamp all 4 of those, that edging piece with the Versamark ink, and we're using gold embossing powder to really pop that up. So as I go through, I just add the gold embossing powder so I know that it's all ready to go. Any excess, you can use a paintbrush. I highly recommend having a paintbrush in your stash. And we're going to bring the heat tool in, and once it's melted, it's ready to go. So this gives it such an elegant effect, and it's a really beautiful stamp in this stamp set to use as the edging. And I'm just going to come in and get rid of that mark that I created. There we go. Okay, so now we can pop in that little insert. I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the bottom, place it in, and this gives you a little bit of wiggle room, so make sure it's in place and make sure it fits that little egg in as well. Okay, so I did talk about the DSP that we had in strips already. I have 4 pieces of 1.5 by 2 3/8, 4 pieces of 1 3/4 by 1 3/8, and 1 piece of 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. So obviously the bigger ones are for the inside of the box, and then we have that one that only has 1 is going to go on the top of our lid. And then we have 4 of 1 3/4 by 1 3/8 that we're going to place around the sides of that box lid. So this is so cute. I love that when you open the box, all that DSP's there and shows how beautiful the paper is. But it's like a nice little surprise. You could leave it blank if you wanted, or you could place that DSP on the outside as well. But I think with it all around the lid, you don't really need it on the base as well. So now we can pop our gold ribbon on the top. This is gold shimmer ribbon, beautiful. And then I'm just going to stamp 3 little butterflies in Versamark ink and heat emboss those as well. And we're just placing them on the lid of that box just to give it that little bit of special interest. So there's no sentiment or anything like that. You could probably put a sentiment on the inside of the explosion box if you wanted to have a sentiment. I think it pretty much speaks for itself by having the Humpty Dumpty egg in the middle, but you can please yourself. So I'm just going to quickly fussy cut those 3 butterflies out. We're going to pinch them in the middle, and then I'm actually going to use mini glue dots to secure them. And I find if you roll the mini glue dots up a little bit, it gives it that extra lift like a dimensional. But it will not be going anywhere. Glue dots are so strong. It's really great tools to have in your stash for adhesives. Okay, so as we pop them down, we're popping 1 on the top and then 2 on the side. How beautiful are these colorings? So pretty and such a cute little treat idea.